Hello and welcome to a very sunny Palm Beach, and we are going to tour the flagship of the Maritimo range, the Maritimo 75. Made in Australia, this is a serious, fast offshore cruiser, enclosed Flybridge, and this is the biggest one they make. It's a really impressive bit of kit. This is of course a 360 video, so if you're watching on a phone or a tablet, you can either use your finger to move the view around and look at what you want. You can tilt the phone or tablet as well. On a computer, use your mouse, and if you've got a VR headset, well, you've got the best view in the house. You are in control of what you look at. I'll walk you through. You can move the screen around as you wish. Right, with no further ado, let's crack on. This enormous flat aft deck. This just works so well. This bit closest to me is actually hydraulic, so that drops down into the water. You can also launch the tender from there. However, this owner has got a davit on the foredeck, so when he's doing longer cruises, the tender stays on the foredeck. When he's island hopping, he can just get it on and off the back here really quickly. And then stepping on board, this is just really flexible living space. Obviously, this has got fishing in mind. You've got the rocket launcher there, where you can put your rods in. You can do some prep in that area. And then imagine you can kit it out with even more fishing equipment if you want to. It's really quite flexible when it comes to the arrangement. Obviously, they've got some furniture here, but this is just a lovely place to spend time right down by the waterline. It's lovely. And it's also a good area to do some cooking because they've got this great wet bar too, with the grill, the sink. Really big chest freezer here, or chest fridge I should say. A nice cold beers close to hand when you're fishing back here, doing water sports. You can just imagine it, can't you? Platforms down, tenders in the water, having a swim, having a snorkel, doing a bit of fishing. It's a really excellent living space, and the quality of everything feels through the roof. The mouldings, the hinges, the hatches. It feels bulletproof, it really does. And talking of hatches, if you pan right down now to look towards floor level, you can see there's individual hatches here, so you can get down into the lazarette, but then the entire thing lifts up as well at the push of a button, and then you have really good access to what is a very big storage area. Moving forward, this is access down to the crew cabin and the engine room. We're going to go in there last, so hold on for that because the machinery spaces are really, really impressive. And then you have this mezzanine effect up into the cockpit. And this is your comfortable lounging seating area. Now, the Australians are very careful about their exposure to the sun, so it's no great surprise that this area where you're going to be having lunch, sitting in the day, is really well protected by the overhang. Really nice, comfortable, shady place to come and eat. Table's huge as well, big enough that it connects to the aft bench when it's open, so you can sit plenty of people down here and have lunch in the day. And they've got a great view as well. I'm now going to turn the camera looking aft. They've got a great view over that mezzanine. So if you want to inspect what's going on in the water, how the fishermen are getting on, you can do that from this raised, shady, really comfortable space just here. I really like the way this whole area fits together. It just works. Now, before we head inside and take a look at the interior, I'm going to stay on deck and we're going to move forward. Down here, we have storage on this side. But on the other side, it's a wing station for controlling the boat at slow speeds. I'll show you that when we loop around the other way. You could probably have them on this side or both sides if you want to give it full belt and braces. But let's carry on forward. Teak gives way to the plain decking as you move forward. It's got the grippy deck here, but it's very safe to move around. High bulwarks up to knee level, big chunky railings. This is what separates this boat from something like a Viking. You know, Viking unashamedly don't really use their foredecks for anything but carrying the tender. Here you do have some living space as well. You can see the crane over on that side, so that's what's going to lift the tender onto the foredeck for when you're doing longer offshore passages. But it's also a decent living area, quite shallow. You know, this bench seat, you've got your feet right out in front of you, but it's just somewhere to come and sit. And on a day like this where it's sunny but breezy, this is absolutely lovely. And they've got the pop-up backrest as well, so you can sit a bit more comfortably if you want to sit up while the boat's moving along slowly. Probably not somewhere you want to sit when it's charging along at its 25 knot cruising speed. Of course, right forward, you've got the anchor locker and storage here. It's really solid, practical boat building. They're so good at this stuff. These are boats designed to be used. A lot of them owner run, some run with just a captain, but they go places. They go fishing and they travel offshore quickly through big seas. They're designed to handle all of that. Symmetrical decks, so I can very comfortably walk all the way around. No boarding gates on either side, which is a bit of a shame. If you're side two, it'd be nice to have a boarding gate so you don't have to go down to the back of the boat and clamber up, because obviously that aft cockpit is really quite low, but very easy getting on and off the stern. And then, as I mentioned, I'm just flipping around looking forward now. If you pan down a touch, you will see this is where this boat's got its third control station. So repeaters, so it's a shaft drive boat, so you've got twin throttles, bow and stern thruster, proportional bow and stern thruster as well. So if you're mooring stern to, so I'm going to swing the camera around looking aft now. You can see how if I stood here using those throttles, I've got a great view aft and also a pretty good view forward as well. I'm just going to hover the camera in this position as if I'm looking forward, and then you can just move the screen around to get an idea of what the view is like from down here. It's important to remember these aft stations aren't just good for if you're going back into a berth. If you're coming side to on the port side, it's really helpful as well. I'll close that down. And now it's time to head inside. And it's really quite something in here. Worth pointing out as well, by the way, that you've got storage underneath all of the seats in here. There's a deck hatch. If you pan down, you can see there's a deck hatch there. That's a quick access point down to the engine room, but the best engine room access is through the crew space, and that's how we're going to go in later on. Nice also that they've got this MFD up here. So you can just keep an eye on things from this area. If you're out in the day, you can pop up, just check, make sure the anchor's not dragging, check the depth, and that everything's okay. Right, that's enough out here. Let's head inside. Big sliding door. And that will actually slide across again to open up even more to the cockpit. I'm sorry if the lights are flickering. That is not the lights, that is just the camera we're using. I'm going to close the door so it's a bit quieter. But yes, that opens up nicely to connect with that seating area out there. And then a very homely aft galley. Island in the middle. It does feel more like a kitchen than a galley, you know, American style. Sorry, the Aussies. Don't want to keep referring to America, but Americans do like these boats a lot, and you can see why. It does feel like a home away from home, and it's very practical as well. Loads of storage. You've got domestic style appliances, both cooling. This is a big fridge and freezer over that side, microwave, induction cooking, extraction overhead, and then over on the port side, you've got two more fridge or freezer drawers, an ice maker, and they've even built, you know, things into underneath the stem case. Got a big pantry here as well. Look at that. Really practical stuff. The internal staircase, we're going to cover that more in a moment, but obviously there is no staircase up to the top deck from outside, so that's really important. And I'll show you how that all fits together later on. But yeah, I'll just hover around in the galley for a bit so you can have a look around. These are designed to be lived on board, live aboard boats. People will spend entire seasons living on board this type of thing. And you need a big kitchen, you need storage, you need cooling space, and it's got all of that. It's lovely. So forward, that then leaves space for a seating area to starboard. I'll just hover in the middle of this room, keep the camera still, and you can have a look around. So seating to starboard, and then the dinette is here, and that opens up. If you do want to dine inside, you can double it in size, and you can eat in here. But then it folds down, it's out the way nicely. When you're on passage, it's not going to be in the way if you're moving through the boat, so that's quite flexible. Big TV as well, very big TV. That actually disappears into that unit, so you can move it out the way if you're not wanting to watch it. And you've got manual sliding windows on both sides. So they're not electric, real fail safe. You know, those electric mechanisms, electric windows, they can often go wrong. They've avoided that. You just hit that clip, pull that handle, and they open a really long way. So on a breezy day like this, you probably wouldn't have to rely on air conditioning. You could open those up and just ventilate the boat that way. That'd be really nice. Before we head up to the upper deck, I'm going to go down and have a look at the accommodation. Worth pointing out, just the look and feel and smell. I know you guys obviously can't experience that, but it does, just reeks of quality. It feels great underfoot, solid, nice soft carpet, lovely leather, handholds everywhere. It's really nicely executed, and this gloss walnut wood is absolutely gorgeous. I'm looking to stand in the lobby area for a moment just to talk about the layout. So to port, you've got bunks, and then opposite those on the starboard side, there's a twin. That's en suite. The VIP is right forward, and then the owner's cabin is a midships and full beam. So let's work, I think, from front to back. So I'm going to go first into the VIP. This has got an angled berth just to make the most of the floor space. Very nice cabin. It's very quiet. You're a long way from all the machinery here. That is the benefit of this cabin. So you're not hearing the humming of the generator or the gyroscope. It's really quiet. You're going to get more hull slap if you're on anchor or on a buoy. You'll hear the water running, but I actually find that quite relaxing, nicer than the machinery were anyway. Not huge hull windows, and they don't open, but there's a big skylight overhead. So you have got decent amount of natural light and another big television. So you can come in here and watch a film of an evening if you want to get away and have a bit of privacy. This cabin has a private ensuite with a sliding door. That's quite clever. This means it doesn't gobble up so much space. All finished in that gorgeous gloss walnut that we've seen elsewhere. A lovely big shower cubicle. This is nice and bright as the camera just adjusts. But yeah, you can see how much natural light's coming in here. Great for ventilation as well, to let the steam out, and obviously it's got a blind, so you've got some privacy. But that's a lovely cabin. All right, heading aft. On the port side is that bunk cabin. Pretty simple arrangement, really. Ideally set up for kids. They are narrow. They are pretty narrow bunks, though, so yeah, going to be tight for an adult, but absolutely fine for the kids or grandkids. They've got a little bit of storage over in that corner where the mirror is, and actually head heights are really good. Well over 6 foot. Yeah, probably 6'6" headroom in here with a skylight as well. So that's why, although there's no hull windows, natural light is good. So that's nicely done. And then opposite, across the hallway, is the day head. So that is the bathroom that guests will come down and use during the day, unless they're using the one in the crew cabin, because if you're swimming, that's quite useful, but that's the internal day head anyway. And that also links as an ensuite to this twin cabin. This is nice. You know, adults could be perfectly comfortable in here. It's got a tiny little portion of hull window, but again, it's got a skylight. I like that they fitted skylights in every cabin. It gives you ventilation and it gives you natural light. It's a good idea. And the other thing I've noticed is this is on runners, this berth, so it can slide across and you can make a double in an instant. So it just gives you a little bit more flexibility in this cabin. I like the back lighting. You've got a bedside table, sockets by the bed. Yeah, quite a simple arrangement, but executed very nicely. And behind the cabin door is the door into the ensuite. So nice that this has got ensuite access. Well, that's all the guest cabins wrapped up. Let's head down a couple of steps. And before we get to the owner's cabin, you have this little storage area here. I've talked about the live aboard ability. Storage is everything. If you can live on board, you cannot have enough storage. So the fact they've got this little lobby area with these deep cupboards is really handy. Owners will really appreciate that. I suspected that might be the case. Storage or your laundry area. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Hedge my bets a bit there. But yeah, that's great. It's tucked away, got its own space, but it's also between all the cabins so that all the guests on board can easily wash their clothes without having to rely on the crew. Nice. And amidships, the owner's cabin. And it's lovely. Full beam, so it's very spacious. This has got big hull windows, so no issues with natural light in here. I really like the wood pattern they've got underneath the TV. Look at the size of that TV as well. That's a really good size. Then storage on either side. There's a bureau on the starboard side, which has got storage set into it. It's also got your jewellery storage and a mirror when you're getting ready before you go out. And head heights are really good, well over 6 feet, totally flat floor, so it's easy to move around. I like the hovering bedside tables as well. They look really nice. And the layout is pretty familiar for a boat of this size. You see this on all sorts of boats and styles at this size. It's having the bathroom behind the bed. This is a sort of walk-in wardrobe with storage on the right there, and then almost full beam. You have the bathroom, which is big enough to have twin sinks with loads of storage underneath and a lovely big shower cubicle. How nice is that? A bit of a shame there's not a rain shower head, because they've got the perfect spot for it. So you've just got this shower head on a wand, but it's not the end of the world. Crucially, you've got a nice view out when you're showering, and again, ventilation so you can let the steam out. That's a lovely cabin. If you think about the fact you might live on board for a long time as the owner, it's a really nice place to retire to. All classic, very traditional. You know, this is not as modern feeling on the inside as your European counterparts, but you know, they're quite a traditional company, Maritimo. And it's inoffensive, it's warm, it's cozy, and crucially, it feels really well made. Built to be used. Right, then we have the internal staircase. I love these. I think they work brilliantly. It's really nice that, you know, the upper deck on this boat is such a crucial part. It's where the helm is, obviously. It's also another living space. So it's really easy access between these two decks up to a bright elevated Skylounge. How nice is that? Look at the glass, it's so bright. Hatches overhead again for ventilation, no sunroof. Wouldn't surprise me if a sunroof was an option, but the hatches are a good fail-safe. There's a TV that pops up from that counter over there, so you can watch TV up here. And bear in mind, this is where people are probably going to travel when the boat's moving along. You've got two absolutely gorgeous Helm seats, but you've also got this nice seating arrangement next to them, so people can travel, you know, and keep the guys at the helm company. Yes, they're traveling sideways, but it's a nice place to sit, as is this. There's a table actually that pops out from behind that sofa, so you can dine up here if you want, certainly have drinks and snacks. I love these Sky Lounges. We don't really see them in Europe, because Europeans, when the sun comes out, they want to be in it, whereas the Aussies want to keep themselves out of the sun, but I just think they function so well. Imagine this is in a heavy offshore environment. You're insulated from the sea, you're a long way up. They won't let me straighten up the steering wheel. It's going to make my OCD blink. But look at this driving position. Let me go right behind so you have a good look. The helm it's just a business, isn't it? 3 big Garmin screens. Look at the clarity on that camera. You know, you are segregated from the main deck. It's not like being on a Flybridge. To get down to that deck, you're down the stairs inside, out the doors. So you want to be able to keep an eye on the back of the boat. You've got a really clear view of that. And then it's Garmin, so you can put whatever you want on these screens. Obviously, we've got the sonar in the middle there, navigation on the right. Those MTU screens, they are a bit of an eyesore. MTU really need to sort out their screens. They're not very slick compared to their competitors, but they have all the information you need. It's dark, it's nicely made, everything falls to hand easily. This boat's got the joystick up here as well, so that combines the shafts and the thrusters for, you know, pod drive style control, but it is a shaft drive boat. Maritimo only builds shaft drive boats. There are 2 engine options, smaller Scanias, but nearly everybody, I think everybody who's bought one of these has gone for the bigger 1,625 horsepower MTUs. The top speed is about 30 knots, and it will cruise at 24 knots for 400 nautical miles. It's got a 10,000 litre fuel capacity. It is designed for fast offshore cruising. You know, you can go slowly and eke out the range, of course, but it's not really what it's made for. It's designed to go through the weather at a pace, and those MTUs will give you plenty of torque and power to do that. I just love the helm seats as well. It looks a really comfortable place to sit and drive. I've got to sea trial one of these. I'd absolutely love to. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see us sea trial one of these. And then finally, we have some outdoor living space on this deck. Pop the door. So you've got a bar here. You can add a grill if you want to, but at the moment it's just sink, fridge and ice maker. A couple of bar stools as well, so you can draw up to the bar and have a drink. And then a wrap of seating, so you can eat up here if you like. The table opens up as well. And there's storage underneath all these seats as well, like there was downstairs. A couple more skylights overhead to let some ventilation in, natural light. And then you can see you've got more rod storage back here. It's not as serious a fishing boat as something like a Viking or one of the American sports fishers, but it works better as a leisure boat as well. It sort of treads that line really well. I love this layout. I think it works brilliantly. Right, back inside. And the final place we're going to venture to is the crew space and the engine room. Now, often the owners of these boats will run with a captain and a stewardess. That's just often the way they work. So crew space is a consideration. This particular owner is, you know, very friendly with his crew. So they live in the accommodation. They have one of the cabins down there, one of the guest cabins. Hence why this crew space looks quite different to what you might see on other Maritimo 75s, because they've removed the berths. And as I descend down, access is here. I'll explain what they've done. Here we are then, inside the crew cabin. Now this is where the bunks would ordinarily be, but as I said, this owner's crew stay inside the main accommodation, so this has been opened up to be used for cooling space. So you've got a chest freezer in here, some storage space, but they've kept the bathroom, and I think that's very smart, because if people are using that aft deck, swimming, doing water sports, fishing, they can come down here, use the toilet, even shower down here, and they don't have to go into the boat in wet clothes. That's a very sensible arrangement, I think. As a crew space, it's not bad. It's a bit cramped. It's not a living space in any way. You just have bunks in here. It's a sleeping space. But it's quite bright, at least, both through the decor and having some glass in here. And obviously the hatch opens up nicely as well, so you can get some natural air in here, and it keeps it relatively bright. And then I mentioned the access into the engine room from the cockpit, or that raised mezzanine. This is how you get in from the aft end. Watertight door, duck through, and you're into the engine space, and it is absolutely squeaky clean. First thing I noticed on my bare feet is that it's all rubberized flooring. Perfect material for an engine room. More brands should use this. Checker plate, be gone. This is much more comfortable to walk on and kneel on and clamber around on. I'm just going to stand in the middle of the engine room. You guys can pan around. But this is really high quality stuff. The engineering is lovely. It's clean, it's tidy. Access to everything is pretty good. You can see the quick stabilizer. It's a gyroscopic stabilizer in the middle there underneath the steps. A pump's just come on. I hope that's not too distracting on the mic. So you've got your gyro in the middle. I'm slightly surprised they're not using fins for offshore capabilities. I'd have thought no doubt it's very stable at sea. I'm not suggesting that, but often these types of boats will have fin stabilizers just to take the edge off when they are running fast through big seas. But anyway, this is a gyro really designed to work best when the boat's stationary, to stop it rolling. Yes, tall boat, quite heavy up top with that enclosed flybridge, so the gyro is a must-have really. And then you've got twin generators. Again, they're very easy to access on either side of the engine room. And okay, outboard of the engines, it's pretty tight, but I can get between them really easily, inspect them by eye really easily. Everything is white. So if there's leakages, things have spilled, you will be able to spot that very easily. And even that ladder is nicely done. It's not just a little metal thing. It's a proper ladder, comfortable treads, and a big hatch up onto the mezzanine, as I mentioned before. Right, I'll get out of the din of whatever that is. Chillers, I think, wearing away. And there you have it. That is the top of the tree of the Maritimo range. I think that is a really impressive package. It just feels like a boat designed to be used. Proper offshore animal. Hopefully we'll get the opportunity to see you try one of these on the other channel. If you've enjoyed this, please give it a like. Let me know what you think about the boat in the comments below. And remember, if you want to see more information on this boat, go to yachtbuyer.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Jack Haines. This is Yacht Buyer 360.